How do I create a Windows batch file that does not show the command prompt when executed? I have installed a Ruby gem called Redcar, which is launched from the command line. When it runs, it steals the shell until it terminates, so I have to create a new shell window to continue doing command line work. The shell I'm using is the git bash shell from the sysjet. I found a redcar.bat file which is meant to launch Redcar as a shortcut, I presume, but I don't want the extra command prompt window to open whenever I launch the bat file. How do I just run the bat without seeing the prompt?
You can't. Executing a batch file with the built-in command prompt is going to keep a window open until the batch file exits. What you can do is take steps to make sure that the batch file exits as quickly as possible. If at all possible, modify the batch file to run whatever program with the start command. By default, start returns immediately without waiting for the program to exit, so the batch file will continue to run and, presumably, exit immediately. Couple that with modifying your shortcut to run the batch file minimized, and you'll only see the taskbar flash without even seeing a window on screen. One caveat to this is that if you're running a console mode program, which many script interpreters are, the batch file will wait for the program to exit, and using start will spawn a new console window. What you need to do in this case is run the Windows-based version of the interpreter instead of the console-based one, no start necessary. For Perl, you would run Perl.x instead of Perl.x. For Python, it's Python.x instead of Python.x. The old Win32 Ruby distribution I have downloaded has Ruby.x, which should do the same thing. A final possibility is to use a third-party tool to run the command prompt with a hidden window. I've heard of such things but never had a use for them, so I don't know of anything in particular to point you to.
I think this is the easiest and shortest solution to running a batch file without opening the DOS window. It can be very distracting when you want to schedule a set of commands to run periodically, so the DOS window keeps popping up. Here is your solution. Use a VB script to call the batch file. Copy the lines above to an editor and save the file with VBS extension. Edit the bat file name and path accordingly. Then just run the VBS file and the magic happens. You can create a task on Task Scheduler, then in the action should be Start a program, then select this .vbs script you created. Depending on your requirements, the other properties you can fill and save.
You can run another batch file with start per minutes nd.x/cmybatchfile.bat from within the command prompt. From outside it will bring the send console window, but to avoid that, you can create a shortcut file with properties modified to start minimized.
To do this, use the program bat2x converter to convert your batch file to an executable file. When converting into an executable, you will find an option to run your file as an invisible application in the visibility section. Thus, when you run it, it will run without a window.
If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribe.